4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening, everybody. It is May 14th, 2025, and this is our school committee meeting. We start every meeting by reading our vision statement, which is the Ashland Public Schools strives to be a model district that creates a culture of inclusivity for our diverse students and staff who feel safe and supported, are empowered with the academic and social-emotional skills to pursue their chosen path, and embrace their roles as positive contributors to local and global communities. This meeting is being recorded by WACA Cable TV. Our order of business this evening includes call to order, opening procedures. We'll have time for public participation. I'm going to change the order around a little bit on the agenda so you guys can let me know if you're okay with it. I'm going to read it out of order. The Mindus School student presentation will be first. The EL acknowledgement, Christy Arnold second. And then we will have the Make-A-Wish Club out-of-state trip request, November 2025, third. That's okay. And then moving back to the top, Pitaway School, the community engagement presentation, the Pitaway School Improvement Plan and Family and Student Handbook, the Mindus School Improvement Plan and Student Handbook, warrant approvals, Superintendent's Report, Assistant Superintendent's Report, and then it says second read of school committee policies, BGB policy adoption, and the consent agenda includes approval of gifts and donations and minutes from April 9th, 2025. Then we will have reports of school committee members, and then we will adjourn. Is everybody okay with the order of business this evening? And in taking attendance, I see Marcy, I see Tina, I see Paul. Mark is not with us this evening. And I'm super excited about this meeting. This is like one of the best ones ever because we've got all these amazing students in the room. And we get to recognize some amazing teachers, and really proud of that. And my favorite Make-A-Wish peeps are here, and it's just going to be a great meeting. And we're wrapping up the year because we're starting to hear about the school improvement plans. So it's all good tonight. So let's start asking if there's anybody from the public who's here to make public comment. I don't see any online. So seeing none, we are going to go to the Mindus School student presentation. Welcome, everybody.
Just want to start by saying thank you to the families that brought the children here tonight, and thank you to school committee for having us. And also to recognize Jill Finger, one of our fourth grade teachers, who's worked.
Welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Who's worked this year and last year to help implement this job program at Mindus School. So I wanted to make sure she was here to see and hear the kids talk about it. So we will start by introducing ourselves. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Nia Sood.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Daniel Chen.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Mackenzie Foss.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Jack Hallahan.
Hello.
Good evening. Thank you for having us here. We have jobs at school to support our school community. Having a job shows that we are following our core values: safety, teamwork, always kind, responsibility, and shows respect.
Every fourth grader has a job. Each fourth grade class has 3 weeks at the job. When your weeks are about to start, the teacher introduces the jobs and provides us with an application. You need to list 3 things you would like to do the most. You might not get your favorite job.
There are 5 jobs you can apply for. The first is a morning greeter. The morning greeter opens the door and greets people. They normally say good morning. Another job is a morning cafe crew. They sweep and clean the tables so that the cafeteria is ready to go for lunch. The dismissal guides help people find their bus. They also open the doors as the students are leaving.
The bucket retrievers pull out the trash cans from the rooms every day. This helps our custodians do the job more efficiently. That was my job, and it was fun to go to every class. The Commons organizers are responsible for putting all the chairs up at the end of the day so that others can get by and the floors can get cleaned. In the morning, the Commons organizers work in the Commons to get them ready for the day.
Every grade at Mindus will have the opportunity to do community service. Next year, grade 3 will take care of the courtyard and raised beds. 5th grade already does the morning news.
Does anyone have any questions?
Oh, I'm sure we do. Who would like to go first? Yeah.
Was there anything else?
That was it.
Yeah.
No, that's the last slide. Yep.
All right, I have a question. Yeah. What's your favorite job that you've done so far? Yeah.
I think I don't quite know.
That's okay.
That's okay. You want to look at these quick? Commons.
Well, I did the common organizers, so that one.
You did? Did you enjoy that?
Yeah,
Did it look like this when you were done?
about. I mean, the things were on the table.
Looks fabulous.
Did it feel good to have a job? Does it feel good to have a job?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you get assigned a job, how long do you do that job? Is it your job all year, or do you get to switch jobs?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. Oh, you said that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You said that at the beginning. So do you get to do more than one job throughout the school year, or do you just do 3 weeks so everybody gets a chance to do some jobs?
So far, I think we've done, each month is a different class, right? So, yeah, we've only gone once.
So everybody, you get to
yeah,
rotate. The
yeah,
classes get to
yeah.
rotate. That's great.
What job did you have?
I had the bucket retriever. It was very fun to go to every classroom and, help everybody do the job better,
Well sought after job. A lot of applications.
Yeah.
So is that for every classroom or just the fourth grade classrooms?
I'm pretty sure it's for every classroom, but for like fourth grade, like if we're doing like the bucket retriever stuff and like the dismissal guides and stuff like that. But the third graders are doing like the courtyard stuff, and the fifth graders are doing the morning news.
See, you actually answered just a question I was going to ask Ms. Lareniga, whether it's just fourth graders doing it, or do the other grades have jobs as well?
The third grade's going to get hired next year to do the gardening. And the fifth grade does the morning news, and I believe they have one other job that will come to me in a minute. But trying to employ everybody. And the thing we didn't talk about in the application is that we do talk about how serious it is to turn in a really professional application, so it's a nice, authentic place for writing to happen. And the teachers all instruct about that.
It's good to start learning early with that, because you all will be applying for jobs someday in the real world. It's nice to put your best self forward. Is it fun to watch all your classmates also having jobs? Do you think it's been a good program?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone seems to be enjoying themselves,
Yeah.
working hard. Yeah. Do you think your building looks a little bit better since you all have been putting in the work? Yeah, I think so too, probably.
Do you guys have friends who are third graders that you're going to give advice to about how to do the job application?
Probably, but we actually never had the experience to do the gardening, so maybe not.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are obviously really good role models, so the current third graders who are fourth graders next year are stepping into some big shoes to fill, but it's evident that you guys have been good role models to show them what to do.
Yeah, it takes a village to get everything done, and without your help, it just wouldn't be the same. So thank you so much. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Good job, guys.
And thank you for creating this program and helping run it. It sounds like a really great opportunity for the kids.
It's been fantastic. And
And everyone's free to leave as soon as you need to. You
do
don't
not
worry
need to
about
stay for the
being
rest of
rude
the
or
meeting.
anything like that. We're just going to go on to very next.
Thanks for bringing the kids.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
I have some
Thanks,
buckets you
kid.
can retrieve.
All right, Christy Arnold, I understand we have some very exciting news.
All three of you,
Come on up, you got to be on TV for this.
slide on up.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Christy Arnold, Director of English Language Education, and I've been in front of the school committee many times talking about a great product that we've been using with our English learners. It's called Flashlight 360, and it's teachers are able to give students practice, like authentic practice with speaking and writing, as well as being able to do some progress monitoring throughout the year, beginning, middle, and end of year. And that's why I'm here today, because 3 of our teachers have been recognized by Flashlight 360 and they are now officially a part of the Flashlight Learning Illumination because their students have made some of the highest gains from the beginning to the middle of year benchmarks. So these 3 teachers who are behind me are in the top 100 teachers in the nation for growth. And Yep, okay. And so we have Polly, who's at Mendez.
Thank you so much and congratulations.
And then we have Tricia, who is at Warren Elementary. And Yolanda, who is at the high school.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's
Amazing.
news and a really nice recognition. And we have a lot of
Yeah,
great
definitely.
educators here in Ashland, but we're so proud of you right now. This is amazing.
Great job.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
And you all can leave as well.
Okay, my Make-A-Wish people.
It is awesome. Yeah.
Hello, my friends. So nice to see you again. Are you proposing another trip?
We are, yes.
Imagine that.
Yeah. You guys tell us a little bit about how it went this year?
Yeah, so I'm Sadie. I was the Give Kids the World coordinator this year, and all of us had the amazing opportunity to go on the trip this past November, and we're hoping to be able to travel again this year.
So this would be our 11th year. Oh, I'm Sammy. I'm the secretary of the club this year. So this would be our 11th year attending the trip, which usually takes place in November. So basically, we are trying to get approval to fly out of state to go to the Give Kids the World Village, which partners with Make-A-Wish Club to help bring kids with critical illnesses like happiness and joy during any of their treatments. So while we're there, we do a couple shifts each throughout like a 4 or 5 day trip where you can work in like the cafeteria, serving food. There's other little buildings that help like all of the kids just make sure that their experience is really fun. There's different rides that are accessible for all people, even the kids if they're in like a wheelchair, or if they have like other complications. And so it's just like a really fun place for them to make sure that they can make lots of memories.
Hi, my name is Abby Amershak. I'm the community service coordinator for the Make-A-Wish Club this year. And one of my favorite experiences at the Give Kids the World Village, I've been twice, and it's the castle. And it's a castle, and when you look up, there's thousands of gold stars, and each gold star has a wish child who's been to Give Kids the World, and their name is on it. And it's just so incredible to see how many kids have came and had an incredible experience, just like we all have.
Hi guys, I'm Hannah Roberts. I'm one of the board representatives for Make-A-Wish, and I had an awesome experience at my first time at Give Kids the World this past fall. It's definitely, I think everyone has described it as so beautiful and joyous as it is. I knew it was going to be fun, and I knew I was going to have a great time, but it really, like Miss Shields says, she likes to say, it gives you the warm and fuzzies. It really touches something inside your heart, and that's something I'll never forget. And I'll never forget the connections that I made with the kids, the families, hearing their stories. It was just, overall, you come out of it and you feel so awesome. And I'm just so grateful that I've had the experience to go on the trip.
This trip is so special too because the Give Kids the World Village was actually created as a way to allow families who, if the kids' wish was to go to Disney, to make an accessible way for them to be able to stay right by and not have to deal with the hotel costs, because when families are dealing with like the medical bills and just all that, it's a lot to pile on trying to find a hotel and with wheelchair accessibility or whatever the kid needs. So this is just a great way to be able to have them right there. And we've even been able to see when we go to the park on our last day, we've seen Wish families and they recognize us and we say hi and we like can go on the rides with them or hang out with them. So it's a super special moment. Thank you.
Question?
Is there any other
Questions? I
questions?
know we've been hearing about it for so long, so everyone's probably feeling like they're pretty familiar with it at this point. But please ask questions if you have any.
You guys, it's a pretty well-oiled machine at this point, and I think it's such a wonderful opportunity for everybody who goes on the trip, but also for the families that you're serving and helping. And so I love that it's keeping going, so.
And I'll say again, if there are any parents tuning in for the first time that may not be that familiar with it, I've gone several times as a chaperone. Dr. Kyra has as well. And I can honestly say I'm going into my 15th year now on school committee, and it's probably the most meaningful thing that I've been a part of, mostly because to see the way our students exercise, their compassion, and their hard work ethic, and the way you guys all work together, and the way that you come back changed, and you're able to share that. I know, because I'm so old at this point, that doing this kind of work is going to change your life. It's going to be with you forever. And that's why I think it's one of the most important things that we support as a district. We do a lot of amazing things here, but this one is really special. So.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think a lot of the people who've signed up to show interest in the trip next year have already gone on the trip in the past, like showing how much like it really impacts you and how it's not just like a one-time thing. Like I think all of us would want to go every year if we had the ability to. So it's a great trip.
Yeah, I guess we obviously have supported this for 11 years. It's a great trip, and but I say this to all the groups that come, and probably this might be the first time you're hearing me say this. So I know, Ms. Shields, you do this, but what we always talk about here is equity and making sure that anybody who has a desire to go on the trip, because there is a financial cost, that they do express that interest, and we at least get them in the door of wanting to express that interest. And so as you talk about it, I know, Ms. Shields, you've done a lot of work on this past as well, but ensuring that we make sure that anybody that wants to have an opportunity to go will do that. So I bring that up every time, but we've obviously spoken about it multiple times.
Yes, I am a firm believer also that everybody has the opportunity. We've already been able to fund one student going in the past. When we officially put the information out this evening, I'll make it very clear if anybody has any financial challenges that could impact their ability to go, to come have a private conversation with me, and we do have a fund that can help offset the financial challenge.
Yeah, awesome.
Just looking for a vote to, oh, sorry, Mike.
I just wanted to say that I've heard this presentation a number of times, and maybe it's because I experienced it last year, but this is by far the best presentation I've heard regarding this trip. So I want to commend the four of you for really doing this trip justice and letting people know exactly how meaningful it really is. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you all are amazing. Yeah. And of course, anyone who, parent thinking about sending your kids, obviously we're biased at this point, but the chaperones, Ms. Shields and Mr. McGann and whoever else goes are amazing. They've been doing it for years. They've developed relationships with the facilities, and you can absolutely feel confident that your child is going to have an amazing experience. So.
Awesome. I would move to approve the Make-A-Wish out-of-state trip as presented, knowing that the dates are tentative and subject to approval by the superintendent after our approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Thank you so much.
Nice to see you all.
Thank
Thank you.
Okay, next up, going back to the top.
Going back.
Pitaway School Community Engagement Presentation. Please. Oh, well, hello.
I will.
Okay.
Tell me,
Okay.
okay, beautiful.
Okay.
Tell me when to click.
Sure. I think everyone here knows me, but Sarah Davidson, the preschool director and the SPED coordinator. I'm here with one of our fabulous parents, Jess, mom of Colin, who maybe is at home watching tonight, so we'll say hi to him.
Probably in his pajamas.
Yeah. It's a little late for preschoolers to come out to present to you, but we're glad to be here to talk a little bit about our family and community engagement. We were going to talk about this a month or so ago with a meeting that got rescheduled, so it aligns really good because the next part of school improvement plan, we have a whole section on parent and community engagement, so I can breeze through that when we get to that. But we've really been focused on our strategic plan and aligning everything that we do at the preschool to meet some of those goals. And one of them is definitely targeted to meet our family and community engagement. We've worked for myself as some of my professional goals, as well as our curriculum leaders and our educators, to be really focused on how can we bring families in, provide that parent education, that community involvement to really establish involvement in the schools, because this is their first experience, and we want them to be members and partners with us as they continue through their child's school career. You can flip. So one of my personal professional goals was to really focus on how to bring parents in on various topics. So I sent out a parent survey both in September and January to talk about where they might need more support or more information. So we had a great turnout. We kind of scheduled and utilized a lot of our wonderful experts in the field within the district. So we utilized district staff as well as our building staff to come in and really support that topic. And for families that couldn't attend the coffees, we then provided a resource through our S'mores newsletter where they could get more information or reach out to those presenters specifically and get more information to kind of build their capacity on those topics. So I think the next couple of slides you'll see, we brought in our SEL team, which was run by Jackie Poole in the building, as well as Jen Taylor at the district level. Dr. Kyra came with me to talk a little bit more about just welcome to Ashland school system, because a lot of our families are new to the district and entering. We talked about promoting independence in daily living routines, getting 3-, 4-, and 5-year-olds to be little independent people that can be responsible for their own things or help you get out of the house in the morning. That was definitely a high turnout of families, as well as promoting language development with our 2 speech pathologists, as well as Christy Arnold at the district level. Obviously, preschool registration, we had an open house about that. We also did some social emotional learning in the home to kind of carry over and share some of the language that we've used at school to help in home environments or community events. And we utilized Jen again, as well as Robin Wurtzel, our part-time school psychologist. We then just recently started the kindergarten transition. We have a lot of families that will be leaving us at Pitaway and transitioning to Warren. So that was a great opportunity for them to meet some of the administrative team up there and ask any additional questions that they may have about the transition. We've also worked to build our community events. We've always kind of had a fall and a spring event, but this year we also added a parent-child thematic event around a winter wonderland where we worked with families to actually go through different activities and engage in them with their children and learn some of the strategies to promote, a good hand grasp if they're coloring or learning how to write, or exploring different sensory things and building on their language of what they might see or play I Spy with different thematic activities. We also utilized the launch program to have some young adults helping facilitate some of those activities. So it was just a nice way to kind of partner with a lot of the stakeholders in the Pitaway greater community. We have Field Day coming up next week, which is some more activities that we'll be sharing with families, kind of extension activities for what to do over the summer. There's not a lot of pre-K aged summer camps yet, so how can we keep embedding learning through meaningful and fun activities? We'll flip to the next. Talk a little bit about PTO and Site Council?
Sure. So with the PTO and the Site Council, we're really working on building the activities and supporting a lot of these community-based engagements. The Winter Wonderland was something that came out of a Site Council, in a sense, a Site Council meeting that we had, and I think Sarah and the entire staff did an excellent job of executing and really creating that true family engagement. So parents are connecting, staff is connecting, students are engaged. It was just such a wonderful overall experience, as well as, facilitating and helping develop preschool playdates. And I think a lot of these community-based engagements really help facilitate that. A great foundational way to set up different enrichment activities. Just recently they had the puppeteers and the animal adventures come into school, and I picked up my son from school and, Mom, I touched an alligator today. So, coming from a 4-year-old, so, it doesn't get any higher than that. As well as the PTO doing an excellent job with the staff appreciation and really doing a great job to support our staff and make them feel valued in the work that they're doing. And I'm looking forward to the end of year picnic that will be kicking off. So again, the Site Council is really just continuing to support and develop that school improvement plan as a whole, and to work on kind of researching and developing the different ideas and the different initiatives the school has. And I think really community engagement has been such a foundation of what we've done as a site council as well.
We also continue to partner with different groups and organizations in the community. One of our big units is community helpers. So we bring in a dentist, we bring in the fire department, we bring in the police. You know, we're really trying to build up those occupations and give kids a little exposure, but also learn about people in their community and teaching all of that support that's there and how to reach out to them. We're also working on developing either towards the end of the school year or maybe at the kickoff to the fall, a community resource fair where families can come and get their library card. They can learn about car seat safety, you know, and have the police and fire there to help check those things, learn about Ashland Rec and different programs, because this year we definitely have a large group of families that it's their first experience. They're relatively new to the town of Ashland, and they're really trying to find their way with young children, and we want to kind of bring them in and get them more involved. And since we don't have a lot of little people here, I know you guys have all read the slide deck already, so there's some testimonials there, but Jess is here, so she can give her own personal testimonial to her time with us and with Colin having his first year here.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I work in education myself, and the level of community development and involvement amongst the staff, the students, the parents, all of the above is just outstanding. I mean, the experience that I've had as a parent and my son has had have far surpassed any expectations I had. And to be able to have that as the foundational development of my son's transition into, you know, his, you know, overall educational experience, it's just spectacular. And I cannot speak more highly of my experience and my family's experience with Pitaway. You know, my husband and I talk about one of our foundational core values in being community. So being able to really just develop that and establish that has been such a valuable experience as my son begins his educational career here in Ashland.
We still have one more year with him.
And still one more, thank God.
Sounds like Pete's got his work cut out for him.
Any questions for Jess or us on community engagement?
I have one question, one comment. So on the community engagement is so awesome. I would just offer to maybe include the youth sports leaders, and I plug that because my husband is AYS president, so we can connect. But
would be great.
lacrosse and t-ball, like they all 4-year-old programs.
They're starting at 4, right?
And they do it in the spring, so I'm sure they would all love to recruit early for community engagement. And then on the parent coffees, like, did you find the order of the presentations good in terms of like what you'd want to know first as a parent coming in, or would you switch that or keep them or vary them? I'm just curious, like as a parent.
As a parent, I love the parent coffees. I think Sarah's done an excellent job of really structuring really what the foundational needs are for families, and I really like how she diversified it amongst the staff members that were presenting as well, so.
I think like this being the first year, it'll kind of see, I liked the idea of the survey just because you could really see what families were needing.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was great when Mike came, we did one in the morning, we also did one in the evening. So, you know, trying to vary the amount of time, you know, we talked about, should we try to live stream some? You know, how can we get that outreach out to everyone, whether you can attend in person or not, and then the takeaway resources. I think it'll probably morph, but, you know, I think you came in October, right? We started.
I think it was October.
Yeah, because you guys came at 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty early. And, you know, we didn't want to go too high level talking about high school programming, but to give people kind of that just awareness of what your educational career is going to be in town, I think was really nice. That was another really big turnout in both sessions.
Yeah, I think that's a phenomenal.
Yeah.
I really do. As a, you know, a starter, I started there and I made it to the high school. So, and everywhere in between. I'm finally going to graduate from Mendez this year.
Okay. You're moving up.
Anyway, great job.
It sounds amazing.
So Sarah, for the engagement, are you seeing engagement by both the families that are getting services as well as their peers? Are we getting good engagement for everybody, or is it slanted one side or the other?
Great question. It's pretty equal. For definitely the parent coffees, we've had good representation from all of our different stakeholders, whether you're receiving special education services, our EL families, our new families, our families with multiple siblings that have already like been there, done that. They might not come to every parent coffee, but they're like, oh, okay, promoting language, that's something I need, or some social emotional learning for my last of 4. I'm gonna come to that parent coffee. So we're getting a good representation there. And I think it'll only grow the more we do it. This was kind of the first year. So obviously timing's not everyone can attend, but now to know we'll do the basics and then ask what the community needs, I think will be nice.
But it's good to know that what you're doing is reaching everybody equally, right? So.
Yeah, and just being mindful that everyone's super busy. So how else can I disseminate that same information in the newsletter, or if it's a video, or reach out to our school psych if you have a specific question, just to know that those resources are available, I think is really important, because the day-to-day gets busy.
Yeah, and on the time thing, just from your perspective as a parent, the number of opportunities, sometimes people can feel overwhelmed if there's too many, but then they're like, hey, I wasn't able to make one, and maybe they think they need more. How do you feel the balance of that is as far as just the sheer number of opportunities? That it could go either way, is too many or not enough, right?
I mean, I think, when you think of a small school, it's a lot. I think it's a lot for staff. But that being said, as a parent, I feel like there's such value in having multiple opportunities to continue to engage as many people as possible. So I think the hardest thing is really trying to figure out how to diversify so you can reach all different types of families. So it can be hard, for working families that have, to have a 9 o'clock coffee. However, the night that we went,
childcare.
Yeah. Exactly. Childcare becomes a factor at night. And, so there's so many different factors, but, simply just putting it into the newsletter too is like a great bonus push too. So those little things I think go a long way.
It sounds wonderful, and it's clear that you're reaching a lot of parents and able to engage a lot of families in just the community of Pitaway, right? Have you identified any gaps is probably the wrong word, but maybe topics that you want to cover, or maybe specific populations of parents that you feel like you haven't quite connected with yet that will be part of your plan moving forward for next year?
We'll definitely kind of do an exit survey for anyone who's attended or just out in S'more to see if people have comments about how to improve it. Our educators have tons of topics they would like to talk more about with families, but that might not be matching what families need. So I think we'll be looking at that. I've been talking to Jen. She was also part of the Make-A-Wish Club for one of the wishes that was granted for a preschool family. So we were there and thinking like maybe we utilize high schoolers and do childcare one night. How can we meet this need in different ways and just keep that outreach going and utilize some help when we need it. And I think that might be a nice way to try to fill in some of those gaps.
Now, what about language access? I know, obviously, when you had the piece about communication, that's clearly not just for families that don't, like, there's a huge, broad piece of that, for especially for preschoolers. Do you have interpretation services? Are those available for families that may ask for it?
Definitely. So part of the RSVP is asking whether or not they need interpretation and language support. And then we've also utilized that support through Christy Arnold. There's a new live stream feature that's even more accessible, and she's willing to kind of work with us on that. But in the past, if we've used ASL interpreters and then also just other languages, that as long as families RSVP, we're able to get that scheduled for them to allow them to be able to access all the content.
That's great. Well, it's obviously you guys are doing a great job with it. So.
Yeah, it's been really fun.
Awesome.
It's been cool to see who's coming and how we can help support kiddos after they leave school.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Give Colin a hug.
I will.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll see him tomorrow.
Thank you.
You want me just to stay?
You can just
And go real
stay,
quick?
get right into it.
Yeah, well, we just talked about that one, which was a big thing. So what I just did with this is we have one more year in our school improvement plan. It goes through 2026. So no big changes. We're not looking for an approval. We've just continued the work on these goals. Jess is also a member of our school site council, so she's been really integral in looking at what can we do to kind of grow and build the program. Yeah, is that not gonna? Okay, I'll just keep talking. So, obviously, all the school improvement plans kind of model that strategic plan with those kind of 4 core buckets. So for equity, we've really tried to further look at our curriculum and our student growth and progress modeled after, the K through 5 buildings, and really building in opportunities to look at data, make data-driven decisions that are going to improve our instruction in small group and in whole group at the preschool level. Obviously, by no means do I want to create kindergarten, first and second grade, and preschool. Everything we do is very, very much play-based, and we utilize Teaching Strategies Gold as our main assessment tool. But really looking at that data and what does that tell us? You know, during COVID, we definitely saw kiddos coming in with their SEL indicators much lower than what the traditional norms are for their ages. So how can we further differentiate and extend our existing curriculum to really meet the needs of where kids are at and make them sure that they're continuing to grow on those progression bands by the time that they're with us. So this year, Emmy Dreisig and Jeannie Bernalt were our co-curriculum leaders, and they did an incredible job really working and making sure everyone has their inter-rater reliability on our TSG, that assessment tool, and then really pulling out the indicators we wanted to talk about. Where is each class? Where are all the 3-year-olds in the building? Where are all the 4-year-olds? Where are the gaps? And then how are we going to improve our lesson planning to give kids more practice? And we had 2 data teams throughout the year. And then we had a lot of kind of PLCs or professional learning communities where we can say, wow, we're seeing multiple rooms are really low in their grasping patterns and learning how to use school tools. So how can we create more lessons that are rich in building hand strength so that they're developing a dominant hand, they're learning how to use school tools right, so they're gonna be more effective writers once they get to those levels. And that's been really great. It's really nice to see the collaboration amongst staff and to give them that intentional time to really think about all they do in play, it's work. And so how can you just talk about how they're manipulating Legos to improve hand strength? You know, and now we're gonna pull them apart, we're gonna stack 5, and that's gonna help them then when they go to grasp a tool of a marker or scissors or those sort of things. So that's something we're really proud of this year. Again, we don't wanna be like, you know, looking at a computer and analyzing data, but how can we then apply it into our learning every day? So that was the highlight there. We continue to participate in vertical team meetings. So as we discuss like curriculum, and Mike's working on, you know, what are we adjusting for curriculum? We want to make sure we're aware of it so we can continue to guide and expose kiddos that are here at Pitaway with that language so that they'll be ready to go when they hit kindergarten. Social emotional learning. You've heard a lot about how we're working with families to support social emotional learning, but for us, we continue to work in collaboration with Jen Taylor at the district level and our SEL team. We have a smattering of social emotional curriculums. We continue with our positive behavior intervention supports, which you heard about, I think, a couple months ago when we were here, and our Be Kind and Be Safe. We also utilize components of responsive classroom to build that community and social skill awareness in each classroom, as well as the zones of regulation, which is learning how to identify your feelings and the strategies to help support you when you're feeling certain ways. And our PATHS curriculum, which is explicit social skills, used to be second step. So we have made in our curriculum map, which a lot of preschool curriculum is self-generated, we have an incredible document that we have built on over the last 10 years with about 15 columns of every content or curriculum tool. And all teachers follow that same scope and sequence, but then they have the autonomy to create their lessons based on the kids and what their needs are within the classroom. But we know they're getting the same content. And that social emotional column has really, really grown. And you can see it in the classroom management, in their participation, and how they're interacting with their peers. Next up is, which one are we going? Resource management. Well, we've all heard about Pitaway and the work that Pitaway needs to do, so we'll leave that to John and the facilities. It is a very well-loved building. We are making do with what we have, and it is an incredible place of learning and love and fun. When we think about resource management and our school safety, we've done a lot, as all buildings have at the district level, of training students for our emergency response plans, the ALICE protocols. We've obviously spiraled that back and scaffolded it to what's developmentally appropriate for preschoolers. So we've done a lot of social stories, and we've created our own curriculum, which is also now in the curriculum map, about how to teach kiddos to be safe, follow directions in case there are emergencies, And Jen has been involved with that as well as our SEL team. We just did our rally walks, which moving preschoolers from one point to another can cause a lot of worry and anxiety, and the kids were phenomenal, and really shows like how they can rise to the challenge of something brand new and unexpected, because we've put in all the strategies and supports for following a teacher, making sure you're safe, you know, and you've got your listening ears on and your bodies are calm and you're following those directions. So that's been really great for us, and it'll be a tool that we won't have to recreate. We'll just continue to build on it as we move. Our site council with Jess and others have really started to work on making our playground more accessible and more inclusive for all. John Murray has also helped us with some facilities quotes, thinking about resources. Mulch is not super accessible for mobility challenged individuals. That's something that we really want to work on. We've done some RV mats and moved some around so that students can be accessible. And the PTO and our BAA grant that we've gotten through the PTO has really helped us in getting some supplemental like rec and leisure activities that we can use where all students can participate in. So I think down the road, I'd love to do, I've said it a couple years now, as I look at Paul, a playground campaign. The surface is definitely a priority for us, and John's kind of working with us to look at that for funding. And then, I think, is that it? Oh, curriculum and programming, sorry, I'm out on here. Again, I kind of talked a little bit about that with the vertical teams. My job as both the gen ed side of things and the preschool programming, I feel like our curriculum is really rich, and we've done a lot of kind of that grassroots, but working with Mike to really establish what opportunities can we get to make sure kiddos are starting to get exposed to the language that they'll be using, especially in ELA and math. The social emotional is pretty well established because of our work already with Jen, but that's something where I'd like to see us continue to grow and improve upon. I think the next school improvement plan will be starting to look at assessment tools, because TSG we don't love, so we want to look and see what else is out there to help us better look at student progress across all content areas. For the special education side of things, we've been working very closely with Brittany, especially with our specialized programming. We have 2 specialized program rooms that support a higher teacher-to-student ratio and a higher level of instructional and behavioral support that then moves into the Warren and Mendez kind of strands of the RISE programming. So really making sure that we're teaching kids the foundational skills so that they can be more successful as they continue to grow and the expectations rise. And that's been really great. A lot of our staff have been participating in those vertical meetings that Brittany has been doing, I think 4 or 5 times a year. I think there's one more meeting this year. So it's great to have a seat at that table because we've got kiddos coming in at such a young age, and we want to make sure we're providing as much support as we can. And I think that's it on us. Any questions for us so far? I think next year will be the big one because we'll be writing a new plan for another 3 years. So we'll go from there. Thanks.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah.
So actually, Sarah, I just want to say, as you know, as we're going to begin a transition at Pitaway, and Sarah's going to move back into her special ed coordinator role, which she does so well. And I personally want to say thank you for the work you've done, and the shoes that the next principal/director is going to have to fill is just enormous. And the work that you've put in and guided, not just from the special education standpoint, but the general education, has been unbelievable. And we've come a long way, and we're looking forward to having you still with us in the role to help guide our next person, whomever that might be. But I wanted publicly, because I don't know if you're going to be back in this setting with us,
For retirement.
over the next maybe retirements. We have one. Do we have one or two?
Mrs. B is retiring.
Right,
so
we have one.
yeah.
Right, so but just wanted to say thank you for all the work.
And I'm excited and really appreciative for the commitment to early childhood education. I think it's got a great opportunity for us, and I'm really excited to see where we'll go over the next couple of years.
We appreciate you, Sarah.
Thank
you
you.
for all you do. Okay, your turn. Hi, Jenna.
I'm Jenna Lareniga. I'm the principal at the Mendez School. Thank you so much for having us here tonight. The school improvement plan captures a lot of what we do, but there is much more that I won't be talking about that we do throughout our years and our time. I have last year's plan with progress notes on it, and then I have a plan for next year, and I can speak to both at once if that's okay. So as Sarah said, our school improvement plan reflects the district's strategic plan with the 4 buckets. And so we're constantly thinking in those terms, where things lie. So with equity, we took on implementing some aspects of MTSS, which is multiple tiered systems of support. And that is a way of looking at how we educate all of our children with an equity lens. And this year, we did explicit work with teachers around the language, talking about Tier 1 means, what Tier 1 means, and what Tier 2 means. And Tier 1 is your core basic of instruction that you're finding in every general education classroom. And Tier 2 might be small group with a bit more frequency and a bit more duration. And we started using that language at all of our meetings when we meet to talk about children's progress. We call that the instructional support team meeting. And so we're looking at how we can find those gaps and use the data to identify them and then come up with some targeted instruction. So it's all been going very smoothly, and I think we've been making very nice progress. Next year in this area, we will be adding to our data team meetings. This year we put in math. Next year we're going to put in social emotional learning. So it will look a little bit like what Warren is doing. So it'll be very, there'll be some continuity. We're also going to introduce Flex Block, which is not new to some of the staff at Mendez, but it will be new in the form that it's going to take next year. We put together a scheduling committee and we talked about the many different ways you can go about working through an intervention block. And I think we've landed on one that I will be revealing to staff in June once we have it fine-tuned. But I think it's going to be great. So that is the equity piece. The other piece of the equity is the work that we were doing with Adaptive X. We did work with them through about November. We looked at all of our behavior data with an equity lens to see how we were treating kids equally. And we did a protocol at one of our faculty meetings where we talked about what we wanted to start doing, what we wanted to stop doing, and what we wanted to keep doing. And since December, the communication with that Adaptive X hasn't been so great. So we're going to try to reframe and figure out how that's going to go for next year. Social emotional learning. So for the last 2 years, we've been as a school doing the community learning where the children go in cross grade levels once a month and they meet and they do some sort of group activity. So we've had some really excellent ones this year. We had one where we read a story about wings and what they can do for you, and each of the kids made a feather. And our wonderful art teacher put it all together, and we came into the presentations. You do know. But the kids were able to stand in front of there and get their picture taken, so that was wonderful. Next year, we're going to be working on implementing restorative circles. So this comes out of Suffolk University, their restorative justice training, and it's an SEL initiative. We're working alongside Jen Taylor. Kate's doing a lot of the work with the faculty this year, and it looks at how in Tier 1, you build community and you build safety and you build communication in a strong level. And then when you need a Tier 2 intervention with a student who's done something wrong, you have the opportunity to talk about repairing the harm and what that looks like. And we started to do some of the work, and I've been able to observe Kate doing it, and it's been amazing. And so our PD on Friday will be all on this, and there are model examples from some of the classrooms that they've taken videos of. So we're well into implementing it a year ahead of time. Exciting. And then resource management. This year we were working on Alice, the evacuations and the lockdowns, and also walking to our rally points. I think with our age group, it's fairly straightforward. We talk about it as though when you are riding a bike, you wear a helmet, or when you're in a car, you wear a seatbelt. So when you're in a school, you know how to evacuate. And I think that resonates well with the children and with the staff, because like Sarah said, it does make everybody a little nervous when you start talking about these things. But we've done a nice job with that. For next year with resource management, we're going to have the 3rd grade take on their jobs. And so they're going to become, as I like to call them, stewards of the land. And they're going to look at the interior area, the outdoor classroom, and the roof deck, and see what kinds of things we can do with those areas and have the 3rd graders maintain them. So then each grade will have a job. The 5th grade job that I forgot is the school council. So we started a school council this year, and there are 2 representatives from each classroom, and we meet monthly and we talk about things. So far they've put a suggestion box into the cafeteria, and they've, which has been funny. Yeah.
More snacks.
I was just gonna say, I'd love to read some of those suggestions.
Extra recess.
They actually met with Crystal Reardon. She came and talked to them, and she listened to their input and then asked me for the notes back. So it was really quite a good thing, and I think they're getting some real live action with civics.
Was that the crew that talked to me about iReady as well?
Yes, no, that was a different crew.
Okay, okay.
We did have some other students that wanted to talk to Dr. Kyra about iReady.
Oh,
That was great.
Yeah.
that's amazing.
We're teaching advocating.
I love that.
That's lovely, I love it.
The other meeting, one of the other meetings we had this year, which you'll hear about in the gifts and donations, was around the UNO cards. We had Mattel donate a whole bunch of cards. So the students in the student council helped me to sort them out, helped me to come up with a video so kids could learn how to play it, and kind of spearheaded this whole idea of the UNO that was happening in the school. And we've had some pretty good feedback on that, that it really is becoming a language where kids who don't know each other will just sit and play together. So the teachers have been talking about it, and I think it's been a really positive thing. Not a goal, but something to throw out there. And then for curriculum, we were implementing ST Math this year, and I have to say that Kristen Fitzsimons has been an absolute asset around the implementation. She's done a lot of the work, talking with ST Math, arranging for the professional development, and being a true champion for what it is. She gives out the penguins, and she does talks with people, and she just promotes it every week. When Kate sends out her newsletter, she has the information in there. We are a little bit behind in our puzzle solving. So we will be focusing on that a little bit more next year to remind people, because part of the grant is that we have to do a certain amount each year. So the kids are enjoying it, and I think it's really helpful that they're using it K through 5. And so next year, that's the goal for curriculum, is to continue the implementation of ST Math. Any questions? I feel like I talked really fast.
You got a lot of good stuff going on. I just want to really applaud you for how you guys have taken and run with the community service idea and how you've implemented it into your school, because not only are the kids involved in really creating a community and taking care of their community in Mendez, but there's also a lot of leadership development in what you're doing, and I think it's really amazing. I love hearing that the kids, the 5th graders, have come together with these ideas and they wanted to talk to Dr. Kyra and do other things, and I think it's showing the value of not just having them take part in caring for their specific community in Mendez, but again, that leadership development is really impressive. So I think that's, you guys deserve some kudos for that. Well done.
I want to echo that too, Tina. I think I was just saying to Mike that Mendez is the exemplar in the district in terms of, the conversations we had about community service and about how were we going to implement this across the district by grade level, if you will, or by building. And Mendez has really set the standard for that, and that's kudos to both of you for doing that and working at providing our students with jobs and opportunities for community service. So that's
they're
really
clearly so excited about it.
Correct. They are.
So they're taking pride in it.
Absolutely.
You should come over one morning and see them holding the doors open. It's awesome.
It sounds like you're backing up what you said when we were talking about the different areas of the school, and we talked to John Murray about concern about upkeep, and she's like, nope, the kids are going to do it. Nope, the kids are going to do it.
And they are.
And so you're implementing that, so that's great. Kudos to you.
Excellent, thank you.
I heard there's a high demand for their student council too.
There was.
Yes, I heard all about it. So like to the leadership, I mean, that's phenomenal because those kids will, move up and then all want to do it. So I heard it was like quite a
It all
feat.
starts with that job application.
Yeah.
I said to them, you just have to do it well enough, and then I'm going to pick out of a hat, because I didn't want to get into
Right,
this
right.
application was better than that one. So
Yeah.
it was very much,
Yeah.
and it did turn out to be like almost a split in the genders,
Oh, that's great.
which was weird. So,
We're going to send them to the high school, Abhishek.
Yeah.
yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Good
Jen.
job.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you, Kate,
Yeah,
who is
Kate.
like the best partner there could possibly be.
She's the best. Oh, gosh, thank you, ladies. Oh, good news. All right, warrant approvals. Now you.
Me. All right, between April 10th, 2025 and May 14th, 2025, I, Paul Kendall, authorized by my signature payables in the amount of $939,198.39. This includes general fund expenses of $649,228.73, revolving expenses of $283,330.88. Grant expenses of $6,561.94, and meals tax expenses of $76.84.
Thank you, Mr. Kendall. Superintendent's report?
Sure, just a few things. It's almost been a month, right, since we last met, but,
Feels like a long
yeah,
time.
so, had a nice trip with 40 of our finest high school students to Europe, chaperoning that. I think it was my 6th time doing this trip. It was nice. I always view it as an opportunity to get to know kids a little bit better for me, because I'm not in that role like I was as a principal years ago, where I really got to know students. So that was exciting, and it was long, certainly, and tiring, and but well worth the time spent. Town meeting, thank you to the voters of the town of Ashland for supporting our budget and the budget of the town. But as I stated that night, it really is a collaborative effort, and this year was, to me, one of the more difficult budget seasons that we've been through. But with school committee, select board, and finance committee coming together a number of times to meet, to have good conversation about where we are as a community, but that level of support for our school system is just amazing. It really is, and I think we have to recognize that within this community. And I wrote that to our teaching staff the day after the town meeting, said it's special here, and just recognize that. So, and then today I had the opportunity to go into Boston to present Karen Spilka with the Distinguished Award from the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents for her work. Myself, Dr. Pyers from Medway, Dr. Kavanaugh from Hopkinton, and Dr. Mary Burke, who is our executive director of the School Superintendents Association. And to see Karen and to appreciate when she began her process here as a school committee member, and her fight for Chapter 70 for 25 years, and the equity of funding schools within the Commonwealth. And that, that was sort of why we were there. We were there to say thank you for the work you've done. The Student Opportunity Act and the revision of the Chapter 70 formula is a direct relationship to the work she's put in over 25 years. And the understanding that 25 years ago, when he looked at the formula, Ashland really was being penalized significantly, and now it has morphed into where it's a little more fair. We're still struggling with
work to do.
funding public education, but because of that, so it was nice. She can't be at our Mike and I have a meeting next Thursday for our association. Normally we would present the award there at that association, but she can't. As she said, they're heavy in the budget right now. So the 3 of us went in along with their executive director to say thank you to Karen. And so it was nice. So, I'll let Abhishek talk about what's going on at the high school, but I know I'm living it in my own house about AP exams and all that kind of stuff. So, and graduation, and since I have a young lad of my own, 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Busy time of year, right?
Busy time of year. Yeah. So that's what I've got. Thanks.
Mike?
As we do every year, we put out the opportunity for our teachers to participate in summer curriculum work. So that form has gone out to staff. It is due on May 23rd for any of the proposals. At this point, we have 15 curriculum proposals for summer work. It's one of the most important parts of what our staff does, is to make sure we're implementing new strategies and new curriculum areas for our students. Most of that, one of the highest priorities for that work this summer is going to be at the middle school level. As you know, we're implementing some new courses. So those folks will take the highest priority. But ultimately what will happen is I will work with the principals to prioritize the different proposals that we receive. And we try our best to approve as many of them as possible, even if some of them are only partially funded. In terms of assessments, MCAS is still happening. Our students at the middle school are working hard today. It's almost over. They're reaching the final stretch here, but we're still working hard. I'm sure Abhishek will talk a little bit about AP, but our AP students are obviously worthy of recognition in terms of how hard they work. I know the stress that those students are under is pretty immense, and Mr. Adams was able to highlight how well we typically do on our AP exam as one of the best districts in the entire state. Just to give a quick outline in terms of science alone, we have 33 students taking chemistry, AP test, 25 taking bio, over 50 students taking the AP environmental science test, and about 25 students are taking physics. So it's pretty impressive. That's just science. End of year benchmarking. The window is now open for our K-5 students who've taken their end of year iReady testing, as well as our final Amplify work in terms of seeing the progress students have made in the area of DIBELS for literacy, to make sure that we're obviously have the ability now to take a look at that data over the summer to see how we did. And as our principals know, I'm always looking at that growth data, right? We talk about have our students made that year's worth of growth, and the iReady allows us to measure that across K-8. Educator evaluation is coming to a screeching halt here as summative evaluations are being shared on Friday. Formatives will go out in June, but our summative evaluations are for any teacher that is on the second year of their 2-year self-directed plan, as well as all of our non-professional status teachers who are on a 1-year plan. They will receive their overall rating on Friday. In terms of professional learning, we have our final early release professional development day on Friday. So any parents out there who are listening, remember it's an early release Friday for PD. Some of the highlights that are going to be happening, Jenna spoke about the restorative circles work that's going to be being led by our guidance team at Mendez, along with Miss Altman. They're going to be doing some curriculum mapping work at the high school as well as the middle school, especially as we prepare for some of these new coursework that's happening. And then at Warren, they're going to be doing some grade level team work on curriculum mapping as well. And Pete's going to be looking at the S3 work and the data team meetings work that they've done to make sure we're looking at the whole child and improving upon those practices. And Sarah is going to be doing some team building activities at Pitaway. Other quick things, it was alluded to that our ALICE training has gone really well this year, and it concluded with each student in our district taking a field trip, a walking field trip, to the appropriate rally points in case of an emergency situation where we actually had to fully evacuate the building and go to a safe space. So worked really closely with John Murray, who's done just such a fantastic job as the co-chair in the safety committee. He reached out to all the local folks where we might have to go invade their space for a little while, and they had visitors. Our students went to visit and just led by teachers to take a walk, so now students all know where they would go and how they would get there in case of an emergency situation. Kindergarten screening is one of the most important aspects of our K-2 experience. We have to make sure we're doing some quick screen on our students to know who the children are that are going to be in front of us next fall. That begins on May 28th. And my favorite day of the year was this week, as Jim and I were able to go and watch our amazing athletes at the Special Olympics. The 5-town Special Olympics was hosted this year by Medfield, and I'm proud to say that Ashland was the highest represented school district among the 5 towns. Our students were having a fantastic time. The weather cooperated. It was a rain date, and it was just it's just we talk about Jen Shields talking about warm and fuzzies. It's the most warm and fuzzy moment you can have for our building administrators and the special educators who work so hard with our students on a regular basis to watch the smiles that happen during the Special Olympics. And finally, I want to publicly thank our amazing Ashland K-12 PTO for the work that they do to help support our teachers. Educator Appreciation Week happened last week. Our teachers were treated to a whole week of surprises and treats, from a coffee truck to lunches to supplies that parents donate to make sure our teachers have things that they need and have things off of a wish list. So thank you so much to the PTO leadership, in particular Kate McDonald and Allison Duggan, for all they do to help our staff.
Thanks, Mike. Okay, next up, we have a second read of a policy. I did not hear from anybody with any changes, but there's still time. Anybody has anything they want to add or take away from that? Otherwise, I'll take a motion.
I would move to approve policy BGB, policy adoption as
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we're at committee reports. Abhishek, you're up.
Yeah, so it's been a busy week in Ashland High School, a busy 2 weeks, as AP exams have really taken the morale of all our students. But
Bye-bye.
there's a lot of kids working hard. Tomorrow's one of our biggest days with, I think, 90 students, around 90 students taking the AP Computer Science exam. But that is starting to wrap up, and that's going to be ending Friday, as well as junior prom on Friday. So that's an exciting day as always. Early release on that day is too. But this week or this month, since our last meeting, has also been, as Mr. Cairo was talking about, it's been including with MCAS, and I think some of our sophomores and freshmen have been taking MCAS. Really, now it's more of a transition from this period of AP exams ending to the beginning of finals and wrapping up all of our coursework, as well as the departure of the seniors and senior trips is about to be coming up. So graduation, class day, all of those things are on the horizon, and it's really an exciting time at Ashland High School.
I know, it's just that this time of year goes by so fast, doesn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Blink of an eye.
Yeah, just got to get through those last few exams. Awesome. Marcy?
So I unfortunately missed the middle school site council, but I guess the update I'd offer is that Erin sent a survey out to all the parents of the middle school students to inquire about grading practices, and it basically asked, do you understand how your students' grade is comprised, and do you think students should be able to, get credit back for learning objectives if they don't do well on something and want to retake something, and should that count for full credit or partial credit? Or so just a survey to understand the landscape, and then the faculty and herself and the site counselor are going to use that as part of developing a plan for 26 and 27. So not this upcoming year, but the year after, how grading practices may change as part of the site improvement plan. So she's just in a fact-gathering stage, but sending out the survey was definitely a first interesting buzz, I guess is the word. So, and then I guess I'll make a plug too for the play that's coming up at the middle school. It's tonight, so I'm missing it. I'm missing it tonight, but there's 2 shows on Saturday, so.
Oh, good.
Is this the Choose Your Own Adventure one?
It's Oz? Yeah. So, anyway, they always do a great job, so.
Excellent. Thank you.
So since I unfortunately missed the AshPAC meeting because it was last Wednesday when we were at town meeting, but I was going to mention I had the opportunity to speak with one of the co-chairs today, actually, to fill me in. One of the things they talked about was their preparation for Special Olympics. So they were all, really excited and had a wonderful day on Monday. And I had the opportunity a few weeks ago, it was just before April vacation, to be a community reader at the Warren School. And it was so much fun. It was really wonderful. I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to do it. The kids were just adorable. And I don't have littles in my house anymore, so it was really fun to just sit and read and be silly and talk to the kids. And they were great. And the teachers were wonderful and welcoming, and it was just a really fun morning. So I'm glad I had the opportunity to do it. I want to encourage all of you to join in next year when they do it again.
I'm trying to think of the different things. I'm sure there's some things I'll miss. I believe it's since our last meeting, there was the EL night at Warren. So I did go over there and just kind of help out, pass out pizza and whatever, help out Christy. And we had town meeting, obviously. And I just want to, my daughter, I think Alex went on the Europe trip. And thanks to all the chaperones, Jim and Lori went, but also just kudos to Corey and all the work he puts in for that. It's
Ditto, yeah. It's phenomenal, all the work that goes into it.
And I was wondering how McKenna would like it, and with all the different things going on. And she's more of a homebody, but she really just enjoyed it and loved it. And so thanks to everybody involved in that. It's a really great experience for the kids.
I also did the community reading day. That was a blast. And they just say the funniest thing. One of them was, Mrs. Tosti, your hair was curly the last time you were here. Like they notice everything.
Right,
And they're just
right.
so, and then they were laughing at all the different Mrs. Tostis, and it was just fun. I got to read in one of the rooms where the teacher was one of my adult children's kindergarten teacher. So she was saying, I had Mrs. Tosti's youngest daughter, and they were like, what? They just love that stuff. So that was a blast. I did miss the last site council meeting for Warren, but we also are starting to talk about the report card. I don't know what's the most recent thing that's been done, but that's certainly inquiring about that is in the works. And then also too, I was lucky enough to be able to chaperone a trip where I now have been able to spend some time with all of your children, including Mark's, and that's like such a joy for me to still have connection to kids. And to also see how our kids act out and about in the world. I mean, really, we have so much to be proud of. I mean, they're interesting, they're interested, they follow the rules, they're there on time, they're engaged, and they're all unique and all amazing, great people. And it's an honor and a privilege to travel with them. And so, good job, parents and teachers. That's it for me. So I think we're done.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.